We are.
Yeah.
We are going to see her. She's right over there. Oh, you missed her. Oh, you missed her. We are going to see her. We are going to see her. I'm not going to tell you when, and I'm not going to tell you how, but we are going to see her.
Is it something you're excited to play since it's sort of such a big part of the character's backstory?
I mean, I think since I started, playing him in season 4, all roads lead to Sue Dibney. And lead to Sue Dearborn, and then potentially eventually Sue Dibney. But all roads with Ralph lead to Sue, right? But I'm also nervous about that as well. I feel like a lot of people have been waiting for it, and I feel like there's a lot built up on it. That I want to do it well, and I want to do it right, and I want it to turn out really good.
Your character isn't that. Let's keep the comics separate from the TV show.
Say again?
Let's keep the comics separate from the TV show. I love your character on the TV show.
Yeah.
Dibney is kind of Dibney.
Yeah, he's fun. Yeah, I think he's. I don't think he's like anything else that they have in the team, and I like that about Ralph a lot.
So, I don't want to cut you off, but
no, not at all.
Someone commented, and I remember reading this somewhere, that you were right about everything last season, and no one would listen to you.
That was true in season 4 as well, by the way.
Exactly.
It's true. He's like, let's just kill him, and they're like, no.
Can you talk a little bit about how belittled your core character is by the team?
I think that happened a little more in season 4 than it did in season 5 for sure. But I think we're at a point now where people, the rest of the team better start taking him. I know he doesn't always take himself seriously by any means, and Ralph doesn't always take things seriously, but he's aware of a lot more than I think the team really realized, and he was on the things in season 5 that nobody else was, and he didn't figure those things out. And so I think now, now that Ralph has that knowledge, I think he's going to be a little more independent and feel that confidence to be a little more independent. I know I'm like, wait, I was right about that, and like follow your instincts, and like believe in yourself, and like all that stuff. And I know we're gonna see more of that this year in season 6, because he's had that experience of like, I think I know what this is, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, I think now he knows.
That's a Dibney.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What else?
Did you get like a confidence boost from Sherlock finally telling him he did a good job, or now he doesn't have to compete against another detective?
Yeah, he definitely did, and I enjoyed doing that too, of kind of having that like sort of a torch passing there, being like, okay, you're, you figured, Sherlock saying you figured out something that I couldn't, he didn't see it and I saw it, so that was a nice feather in the cap for Ralph, and I think again a confidence booster there, like that's what happened in season 4 with him too, was he got these powers and he didn't believe he could do it. He didn't believe he could be a hero. He didn't believe he could be any of that. And Barry, no, you can do it. You can do it. So that's what I like about the progression here, is he needs the team around him. He needs the family around him to build him up, like we all do,
And can you...
There's always a dynamic change of Team Flash every year, just by the nature of the different wells. But also this year, we lost Nora, and Cisco is in the capacity, I imagine. So what can you kind of preview about what Team Flash actually feels like this year?
When I look at this show, when I look at The Flash, I see the team, particularly OG Team Flash, but I see the team, they grow up every year, and I feel like there's a maturation that happens every year with these characters. So if you look at these guys in season 1, and you look at them now in season 5, or the previous season in season 5, they're growing up. And it feels very much like Buffy to me, like a little bit like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is one of my favorite shows. And I like seeing these people grow up. At this point, they've graduated high school or whatever, that kind of a thing, and like graduated college, and now they're getting more adult in that way. And I like seeing that growth in the team and how that affects different relationships.
And what would you say are some of Ralph's key moments for last season, and what can you tell us about the upcoming season?
I think, let's see, key moments in last season, I think, was, when I think of key moments, that's tricky for me. I have to spend some time thinking about that. I can tell you some of my favorites were, I loved episode 13 last year, which was with Goldface, where Barry and I went and we didn't have our powers for the whole episode.
That was great.
One of the things that maybe my favorite episode that I've done so far, actually. I loved that episode. And one of the things I loved about it was going back to, this underworld that Ralph knows really well. Because he's always in the team where it's like math equations and genius stuff and everything, and everybody else knows that better than he does. But I loved in that Goldface episode going to the criminal underworld and Ralph being like, stop, I know how to do this. You just let me handle it, And that was nice to see him in his element, in his element. He's not a criminal anymore by any means, but in his element. Like, I know this feeling, And I want to see more of that too. And we are going to see more of that because he's got more of that confidence and he's going to be more independent this year.
So then, are you involved in the Crisis crossover? And then, and it almost seems like this would be your first crossover. Were you in last year's?
I was in the Flash episode last year's, and I don't know much about the crossover this year. I mean, I know very, very little so far. I know a few things. I know a lot of things that I can't say, and I just don't know that much about it, to be honest.
But you haven't actually officially crossed over on your shows yet.
I don't think so, no.
So, is that something you would look forward to doing, or?
I totally look forward to it. I don't know what is to take place yet, though. I don't know what is to take place yet. But I totally, if they tell me where to be, I'm there. I love it.
Do you think Ralph will play a key role in helping to save Barry? Because he seems to have all the answers.
I don't know yet. I don't know. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know that much about that yet.
Not in the book of Ralph.
No, it's not in the book of Ralph. No, maybe volume 2.
With Arrow ending, I think others have commented on not sure how many more seasons Flash will have and how it would be wrapped up. In your dream scenario for Ralph, how would Ralph go out? How would it end his story?
I always saw. I mean, look, it's never going to play out this way. But like in my mind, Ralph was always. I thought this all the time when I played him in season 4. Ralph is the guy that you knew in college who was like cake stand, shotgunning beers, all that stuff. And then you see him 12 years later and he's got like 2 little girls and a wife and he's like a really great dad. And you're like, you turned out this. That's how I've always seen him. And even in season 4 when I started playing this guy, I was like, this is how he is now. But I know who this guy is in 15 years. And that's what I always tried to bring to my performance with him from the first episode was, this is who I'm playing this guy as now, but I know who he is in 15 years. He's that. And the knowledge of Sue in the comics informs some of that too. Like, you don't end up, being part of some great, romance or anything like that if you don't level up your game, like become, that kind of thing. So I always thought, and I still do, I think about, who he is 10 years from now. And I know who he is 10 years from now, He's always going to be Ralph, but, I know who he is 10 years from now.
Thanks.
Thank you
My
so
pleasure.
much.
It's going to take you too long.